everybody should train jiu-jitsu. When I first did jiu-jitsu as well, I got, balled up by a 140-pound, kid. Yeah. And it was like, holy shit, like, wow. If this little guy can ball me up in a knot like this and I'm literally helpless, like, imagine what I could do if I learned this, and that like fueled me to keep showing up, keep going, like again. And I lost the first 100 times in a row, and that's what you learn most as a white belt is what not to do, because you're doing a lot of it and you're paying the man for it. Hey, what's going on? Mitch Aguiar here, former Navy SEAL, professional MMA fighter, and entrepreneur, and I'm excited to tell my story on the Connected Mindset podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Greg Tomchick. Welcome to the Connected Mindset podcast, where each week we bring you the stories to better connect with the world around you. Let's dive into this week's podcast. Mitch, welcome to the Connected Mindset.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to the discussion here. So just so the listeners can learn a little bit more about who Mitch is, what you're up to now, what mission are you on? What are you hoping these folks listening today walk away with?
Yeah, my name is Mitch Aguiar, former Navy SEAL, 10 years in the SEAL teams, got out, started fighting MMA professionally. Well, I started fighting while I was in, fighting professionally MMA, first degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, started my supplement company, Massive Supplements, back in 2017, and started the brand Violent Hippie. Our motto is be kind or else. Started that in 2019 or something. Opened up my jiu-jitsu academy, Violent Hippie Jiu-Jitsu, in 2020 or 2021. So, I think 2021. And I founded Adopt a Cop BJJ, which is my charity. It's a 501c3. We pay for police officers, jiu-jitsu memberships all over the country until the rank of blue belt. In order to get police officers better training, can de-escalate a lot of these situations without needing to use lethal force, and also to protect officer safety and everything. And started that in 2021 also, I believe. And we're in all 50 states across the country and 1,500 gyms across the country, and we've graduated almost 400 officers to blue belt. And our motto is jiu-jitsu saves lives. So doing that, and just focusing on my businesses, and I talk about mindset, and if you want to follow me on Instagram or something, that's what I'm about.
That's incredible, man. What do you feel like makes you tick as a person? Like you've created all of these different value tunnels for people that maybe you needed at some time. What do you feel like makes Mitch tick as a person to be able to continue to run through walls to create things that don't exist?
I just find a lot of enjoyment in creating. I have tons of ideas, and I never have a shortage of ideas. It's usually just a shortage of capital. Funding is usually the only issue. And I love bringing things to life, and I like to make things that are valuable or cool, fun and unique. I like things that are synergistic. Like all my businesses are kind of synergistic. I like to try to think of ways to make things win-win, situations like that. I've always enjoyed that. I've always been creative. I've always had a good imagination. And I do, it does feel good to help people for sure. Yeah. And, I feel very fortunate that I feel very fortunate and blessed that I had good parents, and always felt loved and supported and encouraged. And I had good guidance, good moral compass and everything. And I kind of just took that for granted as a kid. You just don't know. You kind of just assume that everybody's life is like this, or everybody's parents are like this. And I really didn't understand the importance of that until I got older and then started meeting, other adults and hearing their stories and their backgrounds. And I'm like, man, like, hearing some of these things about their childhood or issues they experienced and lack of guidance and everything. And I'm like, wow, that's wild, and then, but then you see like it's a direct reflection of their character or who they are and how they carry themselves. And a lot of that stuff just lingers and stays with them. And it's, when you're a kid and you look at like adults, you think, oh, they're adults. They have it figured out. They know what's, going on or whatever. And that's just not the case at all. Like a lot of these adults are just, fucked up kids that grew older, and they're still all messed up and don't have any clue what's going on and making bad decisions and no guidance and all that stuff. And, it's been rewarding to offer that guidance and help to people that kind of seems like it's a no-brainer or whatever to me, or but then you're hearing information for the first time for a lot of people, and it's really, you can tell that they value it and it's impactful and meaningful, and so that makes me want to provide more of it for people that are hungry for it. Not everybody is, but those that are appreciate it, and that makes it worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel like people are struggling with most that come to you? I feel like it's in general, when you say, it's that fucked up kid that just becomes older and maybe looks worse, and everybody's like, just because they have wrinkles, they figured it out and they're successful, or whatever the word is. What do you think, most people really struggle with when it comes to, getting out of that?
I think a lot of it is confidence. Mm-hmm. A lot of people lack confidence. I feel like a lot of people lack drive, and a lot of people lack discipline. Yeah. And that's self-belief. Mm-hmm. All that stuff, and when I grew up, it was, I was told, you can be anything you want to be, you just have to apply yourself and work hard. And I was encouraged, to try different things, hard things. Don't shy away from something because it's hard. Try harder, give effort. Mm-hmm. And, I played sports growing up. So the competitiveness was, a big part of my life, and life in general is competitive. Yeah, it is. And people that don't want to compete because they don't feel confident in their abilities or whatever to win or succeed, you're not going to get ahead in life. And that's just the truth. There's losers and winners, and like life's not fair. It's not gonna, and it doesn't, and it shouldn't be. It's not, I think that, to the victor belong the spoils, and like people that are willing to put in the work and sacrifice and they deserve it. Yeah. If you're not willing to put in the work, then you're not going to be successful. The only time, success comes before work is in the dictionary.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I hadn't heard that before.
I'm full of all kinds of little nuggets like that. If you like to follow me on Instagram, you'll hear me say these, one-liners a lot, because but when you hear them, they impact you because they're true. Yeah.
Easy to remember too.
Yeah. And that's like a lot of the t-shirts like I sell on my website, Massive Supplements. We started out as an apparel company, and a lot of the shirts were all just these kind of sayings, mindset is everything. Yep. Attitude is contagious. Seek adversity. Mm-hmm. Know thyself. Like, it's all these short, little impactful things. Like, I've heard a lot of these quotes, people over the years in history that, instill wisdom for the future, and you still rings true today. Mm-hmm. Marcus Aurelius has tons of them, the stoicism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wisdom in that.
Yeah.
And you just have to apply it.
Yeah, it's timeless. It's timeless. I'm curious. So the other SEALs that I've met were typically athletes. I'm curious if that athletic mindset led you in to want to join the military, or was it something in your family that brought you to it, or was it, leaning into something that you felt was hard for you? You wanted that team camaraderie still after sports. What kind of led you into wanting to join the military after being an athlete?
Yeah, I had no intentions on joining the military. It just kind of happened. I was bored and ended up doing it. My parents were both in the Navy, and my dad especially kind of was always trying to get me to lean in that direction, and I just wasn't interested at all. And like my senior year of high school, ironically, like my group of friends were all talking about joining the military and doing like the buddy program and all this stuff. And I was like, hey, you guys have fun with that. I'm not interested. And then none of them ended up actually joining, and I was the only one that joined and became a Navy SEAL. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah. What did you learn or were there any differences in what you learned from athletics and even what you do today with martial arts between athletics as a sport and then, being a SEAL in those environments? Like, was there a difference in what you were learning as Mitch in those two different environments, or were they relatively the same, like team mentality, leading to the hard mindsets, everything? Obviously it's a different playing field. Yeah,
obviously totally different mission sets and like mindsets around it. Like one's a game, the other one, exactly. Is life and death. So different kind of mentality around it, or I guess attitude towards things. A lot more serious. But I mean, like, I don't know, the way I am, like I take everything serious, like I give it my all, like, cause I'm just competitive by nature. I want to win. And that in sports is, like you give it all you have, like every play in football, I'm going 100 miles an hour. I'm giving everything I have to try to win. It's like the only thing that matters in that moment. And, that's just, I think, what being competitive is like, and then when you go to BUDS, like SEAL training, it's very much a competition. Everything's a competition. But it's a weird because you are a team, but you're also competing against each other. So it's a very weird environment. It's actually very toxic, I think. And it makes, huge egos. But I think egos are necessary for that job. When they ask you to go do the most dangerous missions and dangerous training and all that stuff, you have to feel invincible, to walk through that door, and maybe even lie to yourself. Like, we all know we're not invincible, but hey, I'm the baddest motherfucker, so I'm going to walk through this door, and so, I think there's a method to the madness in some degree.
Yeah. Where do you feel like that line for the ego is? Because, there's so much noise about the ego's good, the ego's bad. And I feel like people are fighting that push and pull of like, do I get rid of my ego? I know it's always there. Do I distract myself and say I don't have an ego?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
No, I think ego is like anything. It's a tool that you can use for good or, bad, and too much of anything is a bad thing, right? Yeah. And the difference, I think, is like when you have confidence, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? And confidence is earned, I feel like, from seeking adversity, from consciously suffering, doing hard things to really test yourself and see what you're made of. Like, there's a reason I know, that, or I believe in myself to the degree I do, because I've been tested. I've tested myself, and not something that I was kind of forced to do. I showed up and did this willingly. I could have walked away at any moment, but I endured it. And if you don't know, like, that you can endure this, but you're acting like you can, and you're whatever. That's arrogance. That's not earned confidence. My experience has proven this true. You're just guessing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. And then the ego, yeah, like it can be, a fine line with the confidence and the ego but again, sometimes you want to use that ego, and you can use it as fuel to, like, maybe when, like I have a fight coming up, and like, for instance, one of my fights that I did, I got knocked out, like, right in the first exchange. Like, as soon as we went to touch gloves, I didn't know if we were going to touch hands or not, and boom, right away. Like, as soon as I, got like flash, of white, and all of a sudden I'm like not knowing what's really going on, and he's still throwing punches at me, and I'm, trying to gain my composure, and I hit him 1-2, and he falls over, and I'm like still disoriented, and I run towards him and trip over him, and then we stand up, and he knocks me out. And that went viral, #1 on ESPN Sports Center, top 10. So, by the time I had, like, my headache hadn't even gone away, I had a million people talking shit about me. But like, so that was like, that kind of damages your ego in a way, but then we had a rematch. So then it was like, okay, now I'm going to use this as fuel. Right. And I don't want that to happen again, So when I'm tired and I'm on the assault bike doing the rounds, and, and I don't want to do another one. And then my ego is like, yeah, but do you want to get knocked out on fucking TV again, in front of everybody? It's like, nope, I don't, so you got to protect my ego, and, that I'm using it as fuel to put in that extra work and, get that win back, which I did, by the way.
Yeah. Nice. That's excellent, man. If people want to follow, future fights, what's the best way? Is it Instagram, YouTube?
My Instagram, Mitch_Aguiar, Aguiar.
Excellent, man. Yeah, I think that earned confidence is something that not enough people talk about. You have to put yourself through the hard shit in order to trust yourself enough to push through things.
Yeah.
People think they have limits, right? They, maybe they go on the mat here and they reach, black belt or they kind of climb the ranks, and they have this limit of, once I reach here, I'm like, I'm confident and I'm good to go. But I think it's a continual process
there's levels to everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's levels to everything. And you do see that in jiu-jitsu specifically. It's got a huge attrition rate. The majority of people will never start jiu-jitsu, first of all. So that's why they say, like, the white belt is actually the hardest belt to get, because most people won't even attempt, to come to a gym, and it can be intimidating for a lot of people. They feel like, I don't know anything. I'm going into this martial art where people are strangling each other and, manipulating limbs and all that. And, I'm walking in here, and is it just going to be a bunch of people that want to try their moves on me, and I'm fresh fish kind of thing. So it does keep a lot of people away from even attempting it. But then once you get on the mats, and if you're at a good academy, like my academy, our motto is be kind or else, and I'm the or else. And, so we're very welcoming to everybody, and we want people, we know it's overwhelming. We know it can be scary. So we want to ensure that people feel comfortable trying, and you have to learn, you have to crawl, walk, run, like, and this is like learning a new language. Like today, we're just going to start with the alphabet, A, B, C, and there's principles and fundamentals and everything. So you're going to learn all of that. And now you can kind of understand what you're even looking at. It's not guesswork. There's this proven system. And, people, as soon as they start doing it, with any sort of consistency, 10 classes, like even, you very, very quickly understand how deep that pool of knowledge is. And, what the levels are and can be. So that right there, that will separate a lot of people, because they will recognize that this is not karate where you're going to get a black belt in a year. This is a 10-year process. And the only way to do it is to put in the time, put in the work, and you're going to suck at it for a long time. So there is no instant gratification in jiu-jitsu. Essentially, everybody sucks at it in the beginning for a long time, and then eventually, after you put in the time, you will start to understand and start to speak the language a little bit more fluently. And it's just how it is. You're not going to speak a language overnight fluently. And that's the closest thing. So it separates a lot of those people, and that's what is cool about a jiu-jitsu academy, is you have people in there that understand if you want something, you got to put in the time and the work. And so with that being said, only 30% of people that start will even get their blue belt. And then after that, it plummets, because a lot of people will get that false confidence or they set that goal, they get really into it and they want that blue belt. They want that recognition of they want that title to be able to tell their friends and family, I'm a blue belt, and, they, to some degree, know some jujitsu, and they can talk about it. A blue belt can talk about jujitsu with a black belt, and they sort of are speaking the same language, but you don't have any idea I always say, there's no such thing as a black belt technique. There's just technique done at a black belt level. You don't forget the details at all. You can show them exactly step by step and why this is here, why this is here, why this is important. Every piece of it has a reason, and you can speak to it all. You have the knowledge of a black belt. An armbar is an armbar. Yeah. Whether this female, mom of 3 that I just taught today, if she executes that armbar, it's the same way Hadra Gracie does it. But Hadra Gracie has done it 10,000 times. This is her first.
Yeah, right.
So
why do you think people come to jiu-jitsu? Is it for self-defense, or is it for that discovery of self when it comes to?
Everybody's different. Everyone has their own reasons why or whatever. For me, I liked it because it was a legit deadly martial art. The quickest way to take someone's life is to take their oxygen. That's what happens when you bleed out. You suffocate. And when it doesn't matter how big you are, how strong you are, how tough you are, how much you want to resist, if I cut the blood off to your brain, you're going unconscious in a matter of seconds. And then if I want to hold it there, I can take your life, and or if I get you in an arm bar, you have to submit or I'll break your arm, and that's the thing is when I get you in a stranglehold and you tap, it's please don't kill me, That's what that is, and I can let go. And I just thought that's really powerful, and you are the weapon. This isn't something I carry on me or, oh, I forgot it at home. This is always on me, and I'm always available, right? And it's something that I don't need my eyes for. I don't need my ears for. I don't need my other senses. As long as I can feel you, I can strangle you. If I grab a hold of you at any part of your body, there's submissions all over the body. And that's the beauty of being a black belt. You know most of them, see them. And I say most of them because you don't know everything as a black belt. It's a never-ending journey, and there are black belts out there that probably have forgotten more jiu-jitsu than I know. And I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2008. So again, you understand, everyone who knows or does jiu-jitsu at a serious level understands how deep that pool of knowledge is. So, but that's the cool thing is anywhere you grab, I know your wrist is connected to your elbow. I know your elbow is connected to your shoulder. So if I feel anything on your body, I can get to where a submission. And if you don't know jiu-jitsu, you are absolutely helpless because you don't even understand what you're doing wrong. You instinctually reach out like this, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you,
Yeah.
and you're done. And it's literally like not fair. Like it's not a fair fight if someone knows jujitsu and someone doesn't. And that's why, with the charity Adopt Cop, like even a blue belt level of knowledge is blue belt takes you anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half, depending on your, how well you're understanding it, your like consistency of attendance and putting in that time, and, ability to actually apply, these things. And everybody's different. There's different levels. A lot of like college wrestlers will come in and they'll end up getting their blue belt in 6 months because they understand grappling already, but now they're learning this new skill to, apply to this.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is a blue belt level of knowledge is night and day over someone that doesn't train and doesn't know what they're doing. And the thing about jiu-jitsu is, again, because of the system that is proven, and being able to take people's consciousness by cutting the blood off. Like I do demonstrations with my 10-year-old niece, and she'll put me in a rear naked choke and put me to sleep.
Wow.
And I'm like, this martial art was geared towards not being the biggest, strongest person. Doesn't necessarily, I mean, obviously there's weight classes for a reason and size is a factor. Yeah. However, it's not the most important factor. The most important factor is the knowledge of the skill, and whoever possesses it more, like it's problem solving, it's human chess. Yeah. Like, because we both know what we're supposed to be doing. I know that I need to do this. You know that I need to do this. And I know that you need to do this to stop this. Yeah. So whoever can solve that problem and, put steps together quicker wins. And, so I really think that, and it's a great workout as well. It forces you to be present. It's problem solving, it humbles you. I think, and it can absolutely, it's the best chance any female has, like specifically a female, to defend themselves, if they were in a bad situation. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think everybody should train jujitsu. Yeah. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you mentioned something critical, knowing what not to do versus what to do. And I think a lot of people don't know what not to do when you're in that type of situation. So they're just flailing around. Yeah.
And that's what you learn. And that's what you learn most as a white belt is what not to do.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a lot of it and you're paying the man for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super transferable to, I think, fighting, but also just daily life as well. I think a lot of people are, even in business, like they're flailing, doing all these different types of things to learn what not to do, which informs what to actually do.
And it helps your confidence as well. Like it helps it humbles you at the same time as help your confidence, because it's going to humble you because you're going to come in there. And especially if you're like an athlete, someone who's used to being able to physically dominate or perform or whatever, in their comfortable thing. Like if you and I went on the baseball field, you'd feel really confident in your abilities, right? But then if you come on the mat, you're going to look like a child out there, and that's just how it is. It's what it is for everybody. It's not just you. When I first did jujitsu as well, I got, balled up by a 140-pound, kid. Yeah. And it was like, holy shit. Like, but it didn't hurt my ego, which it will for a lot of people. But that's good. We don't want those people that, can't be humble enough to learn, So for me, it was, wow, if this little guy can ball me up in a knot like this and I'm literally helpless, like imagine what I could do if I learned this, and that like fueled me to keep showing up, keep going, like again. And I lost the first 100 times in a row, so
it sparks the curiosity versus makes you go downhill.
It's like anything, like, with a skill. Yeah. You do have people that pick things up faster than others and, all that. But the cool thing is no matter what your background, like no matter what your race, your religion, your creed, your sex, whatever. When you're on the mats, you're all just doing jujitsu. You're speaking jujitsu. You're doing this and you can do your own thing if you want, but it ain't gonna work out. Yeah. This is tried and true. Mm-hmm. That's what UFC 1 was all about.
Yeah.
And they purposely sent Royce in there because he wasn't the biggest and he wasn't the strongest. So.
Yeah. How much of society do you think knows martial arts, jiu-jitsu, just in general?
Not enough.
Yeah.
I think our society is essentially beyond pathetic.
Yeah.
In just all honesty.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting worse every day. And I think, we do way too much coddling and pandering and, not wanting to offend people, this and that. But honestly, I'm offended by you guys, that are on the couch being fat and fucking lazy. And, that's such a privilege. Most of the world, there's billions of people in the world that are starving, have no opportunities. And we have people that fucking are so obese and getting Uber Eats delivered to them and having to get, the wall removed to get them out of the house.
Yeah.
We have a show called My 600-Pound Life. What a fucking insult when there's literally 10,000 human children that starve to death every single day. Mm-hmm. That's a real stat.
Yeah.
25,000 people starve to death every day. 10,000 of them are children. So, I'm offended by you fucking obese people out there. You're just gluttonous and, lazy. And it's a shame. And you guys should, wake up and take back your lives.
Mm-hmm. Hey, everyone. This episode is sponsored by my company, Valor Cybersecurity, where we help defense contractors navigate the uncharted waters of cybersecurity compliance. As a cyber attack victim myself, I know the impact that this plays in people's lives, and at Valor, we solve that each and every day. If you're a defense contractor feeling frustrated and confused when it comes to cybersecurity compliance, visit valor-cybersecurity.com, take our free assessment, and get started on your journey to clarity in cybersecurity. Yeah, take the bull by the horns. I think a lot of people hear what to do, but they don't hear what not to do, and then they have to figure that out themselves. And I think that's the cool thing about jiu-jitsu.
We have access to so much information at the palm of our hands. Yeah. So if anybody out there wants to lose weight, there's a bunch of ways how to do that. And I get that people want correct guidance because there is a lot of wrong guidance out there, but and you can find just about anything to support whatever diet is out there or whatever. And everybody's different. You have to try certain things. You can't be afraid to try things, and you're going to find what works for you and what doesn't. Mm-hmm. But if you just try one thing and that doesn't work for you and you give up, then you don't really want it that bad enough. And I think if you should look for people that you align with and that you believe are authentic. Mm-hmm. And I think authenticity is important. There's a lot of people that sell snake oil and bullshit, and but I don't know, if you can't tell someone's authentic, maybe you should work on that. I don't know what to tell you there.
Maybe they're not.
Yeah, because it's there are a lot of dumbasses out there, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So how did you, so when you started to create your supplements, the systems that you train people on, was there something that sparked you to want to be entrepreneurial, want to kind of pave your own path? Or was it just innate in you to say, it's the only way I know forward versus going to work for somebody else or going in corporate America? Because I'm sure, coming out of the SEALs, there's a lot of opportunities to be leadership training and all the great things you guys learn. I feel like a lot of guys go that way, consulting and going and helping with movies, things of that nature. And it sounds like you've taken what might be a common path to you, but is uncommon in other people going the entrepreneurial route because it is, leaning into hard. Is there something that happened or something you felt where you're I need to create something that I feel like the world doesn't doesn't have or doesn't exist?
No, I've always been entrepreneurial,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always just enjoyed, you know, different things, making money, having, I had a fish tank business, in high school, just because I really liked setting up aquariums, and I had, set up like 8 aquariums in my house, and my mom's like, we can't have any more aquariums, like, and and I'm like, well, I just like aquariums, and I was like, well, maybe I could do this for businesses and other people and show them pictures of mine, and like, hey, I can make you one, and I'll come take care of it. And so I made my own first business, Aquaman Mitch. And that's, so, like, I don't know, it's just kind of, that's how businesses have always kind of been for me. I was a t-shirt snob, and I liked t-shirts, and I liked those sayings, so I made my own t-shirts and then sold them. And I was like, oh, this is cool, And then eventually, I was just trying to continue growing my following to sell more t-shirts, but then I didn't have anything to post one day, and I just post my little concoction that I drink every morning. And it was a blend of these different superfoods that, I had done the research on all these different ingredients and wanted the benefits from them specifically. And I blended them all together. It was like 7 different products, and I just was like, yeah, this is what I take every morning. And I do fasting with these to cut weight for my fights. Yeah. And everyone's just like, what? What's that? Because they all want to like look like me or whatever. And so they're asking, well, what is that? How did it? And I was just getting bombarded with questions. Yeah. So, out of pure annoyance, because I laid out like frequently asked questions. Like, I laid it out as idiot proof as I possibly could. And I just still got, questions nonstop. So I was like, you know what? Like, I like helping people, but at the same time, like, this is taking a lot of my time to answer these questions and stuff. And I'm not even getting paid for this. I'm not like sponsored by these companies or anything. So I ended up just going to a manufacturer eventually and was like, can you just take like all these products and mix them into one? Yeah. And I was the Smash and Frog, from MMA. Yeah. And my followers were calling that concoction of mine the Smash and Greens already. So then I just called it the Smash and Greens. Nice. And I was like, here, the Smash and Greens are born. And I didn't really think anything of it. I figured I'd sell, a handful, but I didn't know what it would become. And, and then I did the challenge, the 10-day fasting challenge that I do. And I put out an offer, said, hey, if you do the 10-day Smash and Greens challenge, which is where you buy my greens and you fast, so no food, no solid food for 10 days. And you just take the greens and our Smash and Reds. And then I have like these healthy Smash and Energies, which is, there's literally nothing in them that's unhealthy. This is like a literal health drink. So you can have those on it. And I said, if, you do that and you can have a protein shake after you work out, and electrolytes. So it's like, it's not like a traditional fast in the sense you're depriving yourself of nutrients. You're actually saturating yourself with an organic, abundance of organic nutrient dense superfoods. So, but it is like an elimination diet. There's nothing other than these healthy things. Like, that's it for 10 days. And most people, can't fathom that. Mm-hmm. Like, they've never gone 10 hours without food, let alone 10 days. But, so you're also in a huge caloric deficit. So you're going to lose weight. Weight loss is a byproduct, but it's a mental toughness and discipline challenge. Can you be extremely disciplined for 10 days? Because most people aren't extremely disciplined for 10 hours, like I said. So, and that was like a thing that I did, regularly to cut weight for my fights. But it's also like, I like the discipline aspect of it. I like the mental toughness. I constantly seek adversity, because mental toughness is like anything else. It's perishable. You either use it or lose it. And, you have the guys that, oh, I did this hard thing back in high school, Uncle Rico, back in 82, we were on state. But, so anyway, like, I did that challenge, put it out to my followers, and a lot of people jumped on it. At the time, I had like 70,000 followers. Yeah. And, so I said, if you do that challenge, you buy my greens, 10-day fast. You do a before and an after picture and weigh in every day on your stories and tag me so I can see that you're actually fasting. And, if you do that and lose 15 pounds, which I knew they would, most people do. I said, I'll give you your money back for the product. I'll give you $100 cash and a $100 gift card. So the only thing you have to lose is weight.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people did it, and like it blew the company up. Like we did 110,000 in like a week in sales, and I was like, I went from like paycheck to paycheck in the military, because I did whatever I wanted to do. I didn't save money because I'm like, I could die at any moment. I don't give a fuck. Like, and so that like changed everything, and was like, okay, well, I guess now this has my focus. And then just kept building it from there.
Yep. Are you still running that challenge now? Is that someone can check out?
Yeah. Anybody can go to the website right now, massivesupplements.com, and you need to buy at least 2 containers of greens, because each container is 15 servings. So you need 30 servings. So that's like 3 servings of greens for 10 days. And then you do the social media aspect, which we have an explainer video on there. You can click on the link and watch. It's like a 3-minute video, explains everything that you need to do. And and if you do that, then and you complete all the things successfully, the same reward applies.
Yeah, I think fasting is essential. Like when I was a professional baseball player, we used to eat like 6 meals a day. It'd be like PB&J's, fucking pizza, pasta. Like they'd try to fuel us. But until I got out and tried fasting, I was like, I would have been a much better athlete if I was fasted mentally. I get so lethargic when I eat too much, and it's purely like, it's a drug. Like people don't look at food like a drug, but it absolutely is. Like they're like, oh, we need food to survive. Bullshit. You need nutrients to survive. Food is just a delivery of nutrients, and like we don't need as much as they say we do, or you think you do. I promise you, like I know from experience, and that's not how human beings, we were not meant to just effortlessly gorge on food every day. Like we're literally hunters and gatherers, and that's what fat is. It's stored energy on your body. It's excess calories that you're not burning. That's why so many people are fucking fat, because they have such easy access to calories, and they're taking them in, and it's very easy to consume like a lot of calories, and then they feel full because they're getting this dopamine, and it's like very routine to them, and it's ingrained. Like I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, that's just what I do. And it becomes robotic. It becomes a ritual, and our whole society, everywhere you go, there's restaurants, there's every social gathering is around food, drinks, it's just, wake up in the morning, what's for breakfast? Then, lunch is soon, having little snacks in between when you're bored, when people eat for comfort, emotional eaters, like, it's just out of control. And people don't look at it like that, because like, it's just food. And you can very easily consume more calories than you burn in a day. And that's basic weight loss. If you're burning more calories than you take in a day, you're going to lose weight. If you're eating in a surplus, you're going to gain weight. And it's basic math. It's like 3,200 calories, I believe, for a pound of fat. And, and like when I got into like coaching of like fitness and nutrition and everything, like the suggested macros that they say like, you need this much or whatever. I tried it, like, cause I'm like, I've never actually counted my macros and everything. So I want to give this a shot so I can speak from experience. And I'm like, this is way more food than I would normally ever eat in a day. And I'd feel lethargic. I feel slow. Like I'm no wonder like people think they're going to lose weight quick or whatever. And they're not, because the amount of calories they're having you take in is ridiculous. So anyway. Yeah. I think trying the fasting is definitely essential for folks listening. I only know a few people that do fasting, and I think it's extremely impactful. Before we get to the final question, where can folks come to the facility, check out your stuff, obviously on Instagram, maybe engage you as a coach? My Instagram is Mitch _Aguiar.
My website is Massive Supplements, MASF Supplements, like move and stay focused.
Yeah.
And if you want to come check out the Massive headquarters and Violent Hippie Jiu-Jitsu, we're located in Chesapeake, Virginia, right off Battlefield Boulevard.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out Adopt a Cop BJJ and donate, we're at adoptacopbjj.org.
Yeah, it's an excellent program, and I hadn't heard about that before. And it's probably something they don't learn in police academy or as they're going through training.
Definitely not. No.
Yeah. So one of the ways we like to wrap up the show, because a lot of the folks listening in are transitioning in some way, whether they're starting a business, transitioning out of the military, sports, is what does the word connection mean to you?
Connection?
Yeah.
Just, being together, available, in sync, unity, like support. That's kind of those are the things that kind of, when I think of connection, like, maybe support is probably the biggest thing I would say.
Yeah, a lot of those transitioning, I feel like, especially for me, I felt like disconnected. Like I didn't know what my mission was, because the mission was, I was transitioning out of one mission to trying to find that other. So that connection to me was like, how do I find that next thing? And
yeah, I think that, very common with a lot of professional athletes and the SEAL teams specifically, but not just the SEAL teams, but all of military, and really all of anything. People want to belong to things. They feel, I think, inherently like they want to belong to something. They want to be a part of something. And if you don't, then you kind of can struggle with purpose. And, being a part of something gives you that, at least that purpose, and can help shape your identity or whatever. Especially if you're, you don't have a good sense of self and identity and your own beliefs and your own, guidelines, I guess, like, I have my own ethos, like I know what I'm about, and like, I have a strong sense of self and identity on my own, like internally. I don't rely on outside sources for my identity, because outside sources can be removed. You can only be a professional baseball player for so long. You can only be a Navy SEAL for so long. You can only be a pro fighter for so long. And it's like, and you will always be a professional baseball player in that sense. Like, it's a chapter of your life. It is a part of who you are. It helped shape who you are, but it's not everything. It's not who I am. It's just a part and a chapter. And a lot of people do struggle with that, because they do get wrapped up in, this is who I am. Like, I'm Greg, I play on the Cardinals, I'm a pitcher, and it's like, well, not anymore. So who am I? Am I even like cool anymore? Like, do people care? Like, am I valuable? People struggle with that. And then I think a lot of them kind of latch on to other things, but that's not necessarily good either. You have to reflect and like, who are you truly? And like, what matters to you? What builds the person you are? Like, what are your values? Yeah. And I encourage everybody to do like that hard self-reflection and be critical and be honest, with yourself, your shortcomings, and work on them, and then like lean into your strengths as well too. And, it's not a bad thing.
Mitch, thanks for joining the show, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you're feeling more connected from this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with someone that you care about. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Connected Mindset Podcast.